Eject.
Hello, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. This is Debbie. We're back with another episode of Paralegal Reacts. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Amicus Curiae of Ashley Ruth Moye, which is in support of Johnny Depp's trial brief. Amicus Curiae means a friend of the court, so it's a person that has a vested interest in the outcome of the case. They can make basically a statement. So it was quite interesting. So let's get into it. So just to summarize the beginning parts, so Ashley Ruth is a federal law enforcement officer in the USA. She does acknowledge she has a vested interest in the outcome of this case due to lending Johnny over $25 million. By the way, wow. That's insane, but okay. And she said if this action is not successful, that will impact his ability to pay her back. She also says that she wrote a role in a screenplay per Johnny's request that is made specifically for Johnny, and if this case is not successful, that will impact her movie and she will in turn suffer financial loss. She was not called as a witness, but she does have knowledge of both parties, but she doubts she will be called as a witness as she believes both parties would potentially suffer damage or embarrassment to their reputation if she made certain information public. So there's just too much going on here in the statements for me to try to summarize, so I'm just going to go ahead and read it all. It's not too long, don't worry. So she starts off saying, as described herein, I have witnessed defendant Amber Heard lie, feign injury and pain, threaten Johnny's life, perpetrate a number of criminal acts, and make nonsensical and unreasonable demands, all of which liken me to hold the opinion that she is a narcissistic sociopath, whose abuse claims against Johnny should not be believed. In 2012, Plaintiff Depp introduced defendant Heard to me in Westbrook, Maine, while I was undercover as a deputized federal agent in a long-term criminal investigation. Shortly after being introduced, defendant Heard proposed that Johnny, she, and I have a three-way sexual encounter. By me being a heterosexual female whom held a romantic history with Plaintiff Depp, I expressed my offense to defendant Heard's proposition. Defendant Heard expressed her discovery of and her demand for her taking ownership of the ivory cashmere coat that Johnny had custom fitted for me many years prior, which cost him about $5,000 and which Johnny had stored in his home. I told defendant Heard to go fuck herself. I insisted that defendant Heard leave, and then defendant Heard then insisted that I be told to leave, keeping in mind that Johnny had called for us to meet in the parking lot of Westbrook Middle School, not far from my place of residence, with the express intent for those present to meet with me. Prior to the car's driver departing our location with the still objecting defendant Heard, whom was seated in the backseat of the car, I heard Johnny tell defendant Heard, I owe her a lot of money, I need to sweet talk her. This likened me to believe that the primary reason for defendant Heard's agreement for her departure was due to her expectation of benefiting financially from doing so. After defendant Heard was driven away, Plaintiff Depp informed me that the defendant Heard had gone through Plaintiff Depp's personal effects stored within his home and had discovered documentation relative to my near 30-year relationship with him. Damn, that's almost as old as me, huh? He informed me that defendant Heard had expressed to him the ultimatum of him marrying her without a prenuptial agreement, or else defendant Heard would release that secret information to members of the press and or other interested parties. I understood and expressed to Plaintiff Depp my concern that the release of such information at that point in time and in such a manner would have deleterious ramifications upon the intent to bring a dangerous crime ring to justice, one that was known to have committed multiple murders, and that my remaining undercover was pivotal in that operation's success. Plaintiff Depp also expressed to me that he had no desire to marry defendant Heard, and that he had made no inference to defendant Heard of him having an interest in marrying her. I informed Plaintiff Depp that in my opinion, what Heard was seeking and threatening to do against him would be classified as blackmail. Under 18 U.S. Code 873 regarding blackmail, it states, Whoever, under a threat of informing or as a consideration for not informing against any violation of any law of the United States, demands or receives any money or other valuable thing, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned no more than 1 year or both. Depp informed me that under California state law, what Heard was attempting would be considered extortion. Under California Penal Code sections 518 to 527, Chapter 7, extortion, it states, extortion is the obtaining of property from another, with his consent, induced by a wrongful use of force or fear. Fear, such as will constitute extortion, may be induced by a threat either 1. To do an unlawful injury to the person or property of the individual threatened or of a third person, or 2. To accuse the individual threatened or any relative of his or a member of his family of any crime, or 3. To expose or to impute to him or them any deformity, disgrace, or crime, or 4. To expose any secret affecting him or them. Every person who extorts any money or other property from another, under circumstances not amounting to robbery or carjacking by means of force or any threat, such as is mentioned in Section 519, shall be punished by imprisonment in the state prison for 2, 3, or 4 years. Every person who, by any extortionate means, obtains from another his signature to any paper or instrument, whereby, if such signature were freely given, any property would be transferred or any debt, demand, charge, or right of action created, is punishable in the same manner as if the actual delivery of such debt, demand, charge, or right of action were obtained. I accompanied Plaintiff Depp to the airport, where Defendant Heard was waiting, and confronted Heard with Depp's claim that she held the intent to blackmail Depp into marrying her. Heard did not deny the accusation of blackmail. Her response was to the effect, "So, a girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do. You can't do anything about it," she said, while smirking as if she held all the cards. At one point, over the course of the ensuing conversation, Defendant Heard acted like someone was choking her at the throat with a vice-like grip, though no one was touching her, and stated to the effect, "You're choking me." I held up both of my hands for all present to witness and stated to the effect, "I'm not laying a finger on you. Why are you acting like someone's choking on you?" She said to the effect, "I can't explain it." I stated to her to the effect, "I'll explain it for you. You're fabricating in your own mind that someone is physically assaulting you because you're crazy." I ensured that Heard was wholly aware of the sensitive nature of my undercover status as a deputized federal agent, and expressed to her that her blowing my cover could ultimately result in my death and or Johnny's death, and that the crime ring under investigation was known to have committed multiple murders. I told her to the effect, "We're fighting the good fight here. Blowing my cover will not only undermine the success of this operation, but doing so will endanger many innocent people's lives, including not just mine, but my family's, all these men here, including Johnny, who has already had one attempt made on his life." At this point, Heard muttered something about life insurance policy. I further informed her to the effect, "Summarily, what you're proposing or threatening to do is akin to murder. At the very least, conspiracy to murder, as you are positioning yourself with the very suspects whom hold a threat against us, especially me, and whom are under investigation. Most surely you'd be charged with obstruction of justice, which is a violation of 18 U.S. Code 111, subsection A, subsection 1, and subsection B. Assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers or employees, as Heard used the known threat of an organized crime ring as a deadly weapon. Heard doing so enhances the penalty, 18 U.S. Code 1115. Influencing, impeding, or retaliating against a federal official by threatening or injuring a family member. Defendant Heard smirked triumphantly and said to the effect, "What are you going to do about it? You can't do anything to stop me." To which I responded by stating to the other people present to the effect that she's right, she's got us by the balls, gentlemen. I expressed to Plaintiff Depp my apologies of my attempting to seek reason with Heard to no avail, and that I did believe that she would carry out her threat, should he not marry her. That I could not tell him what to do, but if he chose to defuse this bomb by agreeing to her terms, I would forgive him for being unlawfully bound by matrimony to this psychotic chick. I then informed defendant Heard to enjoy herself, claiming that she was going to become a famous actress with oodles of money to play with, statements of which seemed to please Heard, as she did not object to any statement that I made, yet grinned victoriously as she, in my opinion, was apparently envisioning her future of wealth and fame, courtesy of Johnny Depp. Since Johnny and I first met in 1982, with our sharing numerous stressful life events over the years, the only occasion where I witnessed Depp engage in violent behavior was in 1990. After Johnny and I had a heated argument, an officer of the Burbank Police Department in California attempted to restrain Johnny from behind, apparently to keep Johnny from stopping me as I drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw Johnny turn around and attempt to strike the officer. However, the officer caught Johnny's arm, twisted him around, then took down Johnny face down to the sidewalk. Not once has Johnny ever physically touched me in an unwelcome manner. In the argument section, it goes on to say, the court should accept the statements contained herein with the same force as a witness's declared testimony, as a supplemental brief to Plaintiff Depp's trial brief and other proceedings of this matter, as defendant Heard's criminal conduct alleged herein demonstrates her habit of committing acts that further the execution of a common scheme or plan of her device, and are indicative of there being a high probability of her making false claims against Plaintiff Depp to his injury, and would be supportive of Plaintiff Depp's claim of defamation against defendant Amber Heard. Wow, and then she goes on to include this little printout saying here, qualities of a narcissistic sociopath, and it's got kind of these things like highly arrogant, grandiose sense of status, delusions of power, exploits others, lacking in empathy, basically saying that Amber is a narcissistic sociopath and the criteria and so. I wouldn't be surprised if the movie was something about her life or their relationship, because that is really crazy. It's like something out of a movie. So she's a federal agent and Amber was going to exploit her, and they dated for 30 years, or maybe, I don't know, it's not clear. Maybe they were just friends. I don't know. It sounds like maybe this girl still has feelings for him and that they battled it out over that. It's not quite clear, but if this is true, that's really crazy. But this is coming from firsthand. This is not a hearsay. This is something that she said she's exhibited firsthand. So I haven't really heard people talk about this, but wow, that's really crazy. And maybe for her own safety, maybe that's why she wouldn't be a witness either, because if she does undercover work, more than likely she probably wouldn't want her identity out there. So yeah, that's intense. Like, that is crazy. That is really crazy. So I wonder what the court will have to say about that, but that definitely holds some weight to it. The fact that she had this encounter with Amber herself and she has this firsthand knowledge, and that definitely would speak to her character. I just wonder if this is true, how deep it really goes. Was this kind of being said as a joke, or how deep and how far did she really take it? Because it didn't really come up in the UK case, so I'm curious to know if it will come up in the US case. I really have a feeling that they've been holding their smoking guns, they've been holding it back for this case, because obviously if they did reveal it in the UK case, Amber would know about it ahead of time and she'd be able to kind of counteract it ahead of time. So that's why I'm thinking anyways, they're holding back their biggest smoking gun. So who knows, maybe this will come up again. But yeah, that's intense that she would do that to a federal officer. That, I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you have to say about that? Do you believe this? Is it a little bit too far-fetched? What do you think? And we'll see what the court says. If they do take it as a statement or not, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I guess that's it. That was a crazy one. But yeah, comment down below your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for your kind comments and everything. It always keeps me going. And thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed this or learned something or were entertained in some way. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day or night or whatever it is for you. And we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.